Hey everyone, I'm Ayman, CEO of Perceptura. Today, I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of the platform. We're going to step into the shoes of a telecoms company that's trying to get to the bottom of why customers are churning and figure out how to fix it. Let's jump in. The first thing we do is create a workspace. A workspace defines your goal, in this case, churn reduction and customer retention. We're going to let Perceptura Engine suggest some KPIs for us. So this gives context to our autonomous engine so that it knows what outcomes we care about and how to guide its thinking around that. In this case, we only care about churn, retention, and potentially the lifetime value of the customer. And let's say we want this to be $3,000 instead. Great. Now they're carved on the UI and we can track them throughout the lifecycle of the workspace. Now we're going to upload a couple of datasets. There's no need to pre-clean or prep your data. The platform takes care of that. It understands what each column means, links related records, and gets everything ready to start modeling the system. Here's where it gets clever. Behind the scenes, Perceptura builds what we call an ontology. Think of this like a live map of your business. It figures out the key entities like customer, contract, device protection, and how they're all connected. At this point, the engine notices that both datasets share a common field, which is customer ID right here, and automatically joins them in the business view. Now we've built a unified view that merges the relevant information from both datasets, and this view becomes the foundation for everything downstream, especially the causal analysis. It's like giving the system a clean lens through which it can understand how everything interacts. Now we move on to causal discovery. The platform builds a causal graph, uncovering what's actually driving churn. Our causal discovery engine is industry-leading, designed specifically for messy, real-world enterprise data. It cuts through noise and surface-level correlations to uncover what's actually driving outcomes. Over here, we can see the completed result for the causal discovery, and we can see all the things that point to churn directly. We can also visualize it with a Sankey diagram so we can get a good idea of what input variables have a knock-on effect on other variables until they eventually impact churn. And we can hone in on some of the relationships that we have and visualize them and look at the correlations and see if it matches with our worldview of how things are supposed to be in the process that we're discovering the causal relationships for. Now, there are a couple of things we can do with this engine. So the first thing we can do is use it as a predictive model. So let's say we want to predict churn. We can simply select this, can upload some data that corresponds to the data that we were using before. And now we can just go ahead, click this button to run the prediction. You can see here, it's already finished, and we can take a look and see that we've got a full set of predictions for the data that we've uploaded. The other thing we can do is start running scenarios and figure out things that can cause churn to decrease or increase. For example, we know that churn is influenced by contract. So let's say what happens to churn rate if we put all customers on 2-year contracts. Then we can go ahead and generate the variables that we need to run this analysis from the natural language query. It's figured out the SQL query to calculate churn, and it's figured out any targeting conditions. In this case, we don't have any. So we can go ahead, click this run scenario button, and it will go and run in the background for us here. Now, with the results, we can see that it's achieved a significant reduction in churn because we put all the customers on 2-year contracts. And we can actually see what segments this specific analysis has the largest impact on. For instance, we can see that customers without tech support and without DSL internet have the largest effect on the reduction in churn in comparison to those with DSL. But the unique aspect of our platform is not in this. Imagine you can ask hundreds and thousands of questions by just setting an outcome and say, I want to reduce churn. And our platform will ask all of the questions it needs for it to understand what the best strategy to move forward is. And it will also segment them similar to what we see on the screen here. The last thing we can show is the reports. So we can actually go ahead and generate a report of our findings. We can select the business view that we just created, and we can set a report goal to say, discover key drivers of churn and customer retention. And we can set the target audience to be a technical audience. And we can just go ahead and generate this report. So we can see now that Perceptura is completely done generating the report. We get an executive summary of all the key outcomes of the report and the analysis we've done. We get an introduction and an executive summary. We get a few insights that relate to what we've done on the causal analysis. And then we get a conclusion on the business implications of what we can actually do and the next steps we can take forwards. And we can go ahead and export this report as a PDF and send it to any peers or anyone who needs to see it. We'd love to welcome you to book a demo. So please click the button on our website and book in a time that suits you best. We're looking forward to hearing from you.